Hi, everyone. We're in the middle of a 7 o'clock newscast on KXNW. Allie just got done with that segment. We're talking about storms that are moving in. Zach's going to have a final weather update, but we've got some severe weather that we've got to mention, and it's been actually causing some issues in terms of damage. There was some damage in Gentry, some power lines that are down. You can comment and let us know what you've got, but these storms are producing heavy rain, gusty winds, some lightning, heavy rain, and possibly some localized flooding as well. Here's a look at the two severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect: southwestern Benton County, northwestern Washington County, and these storms are dropping south. And look at all of that rain that's coming in. Now the good news is that I see some comments on here about tornado potential. There's no tornado potential at all. This is not the type of environment that's going to bring tornadoes. However, we do have that potential for gusty winds. And Blaze, you and I have been watching this as we've been seeing these microbursts that have been possibly developing and these storms that pop up and then dissipate. And so the rain is nice. That's wonderful. But at the same time, people's patio furniture flying off of their patios. Yeah. So their back porch as well. So we got 15 seconds out. We'll let Zach do that final update. We'll close out that 7 o'clock newscast on KXNW, and we'll let you know more. Again, no tornado potential, but some gusty winds. So here is that final update with Zach and Allie.
All right, welcome back. Meteorologist Zach Gilday joins us now, and we heard that rain come over. We're still under the severe thunderstorm warnings.
If you live in Fayetteville right now, you're about to see some heavy rain, and we actually some severe weather. Here is a view of Washington County. That is some widespread heavy rain, some damaging winds being seen with that cluster too. Even seeing some small hail. Blaze, if we could switch over to that hail core, we could see what we are dealing with just south of Highfill, seeing hail up to around quarters east of the Gentry area. That's kind of what we are going to be dealing with as we go throughout at least the next hour or so. But once we lose daytime heating around 10 o'clock this evening, I think that's when those rain chances go down to around 0. Tomorrow, I got some good news. A cold front is moving in, and beyond that, the 7-day looking pretty good, especially Sunday into Monday, 70s, Allie.
You know I like the cooler weather. Yeah,
little taste of fall.
Taste of fall. I wish it would just stay, but we're almost there.
It's almost fall.
See you at 10.
All right, guys, so that covers that. Zach did a quick update, but we got a lot of comments on here. Not a drop in Bella Vista. That's one place that did not see a whole lot of rain, but you know what? We've got more coming later on in the week. Yeah, we've got some storms that are definitely producing some super heavy rain across the area. And so you'll definitely have to be dealing with that. Also, too, we're getting some reports. We got P Ridge with some crazy winds. I know Kylie was wondering about tornadoes. She commented, she told me, here's a report from damage off of Janet Street in Springdale. Power lines down, limbs and fences down. The patio umbrella is intact, though. That's good. Maybe you collapse the umbrella. When will all this be over with? Probably around like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. The storms will be moving out. So we might want to type that up and put that in NWS chat if you can. There's a huge bolt of lightning. We're going to hear a rumble of thunder here in just a second. But here's a look looking west from Mount Sequoia. That is a super heavy rain. My goodness. You can't even see the city of Fayetteville anymore. So very, very heavy rain coming down right now in the Fayetteville area. Let's take a look at some of other WeatherBug Network cameras. So Lincoln is probably pointing the wrong way. It is. It's looking south, and the storm's coming in from the north. But we could shift that around. We'll take a look at some other cameras here. We've got our WeatherBug Network camera at Mount Sequoia. We showed you that. But here's the Graduate Hotel. Just an absolute downpour with some super heavy rain and some gusty winds. Let's take a look here at Arkansas Children's. That's looking eastbound. So we've been watching pop-up storms all over the place. There's Siloam Springs, which has already seen the storms, and it's cleared out of that area. So let's take a look at the radar again. And these storms have developed rapidly. So, Blaze, you're going to take us on a little bit of a radar tour here. And, this is what we needed. It feels great. I know this is definitely going to be cooling it off. That's for sure. Heavy rain and thunder and lightning in Beaver Shores. Beaver Shores had a downpour earlier today, too. What would be a good day to open up the window? Well, this will definitely cool things off a little bit, Nikita, so that's good. Lots of leaves and some bigger twigs are down. Let's see. So far, I've received 0.2 of an inch of rain in the last 30 days in Valley Springs. We're hoping to get some rain this afternoon. So I think he's still got some coming down here. Man, what the heck? You hearing all this? The phone is just blowing up. You didn't get rain in Siloam? Go back and let's take a look at the radar loop. There's the report of the wind damage, by the way, that the Weather Service put on there. So we'll go all the way back here. Siloam Springs had to get some rain, unless you're on the very north side. Maybe you didn't get a whole lot by Allen Elementary. That sounds okay. Here's some. We have trees down, fences down, poles on trampoline bent. It got crazy in Pea Ridge. See, that's what happens when these storms collapse. They're called microbursts, and I'll give you an example of what they are. But first of all, before we do that, I want to take a look here at Weather 2, and we're going to bring up the latest on these severe thunderstorm warnings. So, Blaze, you and I have been watching this. Zach's been watching this. No rain in the Gravette area, but there was some rain just to the south of you. So that's the way it's still going to be, kind of a little bit hit and miss. Let's take a look here at the very latest severe thunderstorm warning. So they expired the previous severe thunderstorm warning. This is who's included in it. XNA, Heifel, you got areas Savoy, Wheeler, White Rock, Fayetteville getting an absolute downpour. Prairie Grove, Lincoln, Sassafras Winery is getting some downpours right now and some super heavy rain. Springdale, Sonora, Bethel Heights, Lowell, Cave Springs. And we work our way northward. You can see Bentonville getting in on some rain. But yeah, Bella Vista, not very much. Let's take a look at the last 3 hours and let's see it all develop right around Bella Vista. So sometimes you just don't win the rain lottery, and that was today. Well, maybe a little bit on the east side of Bella Vista, but on the west side, not as much. But have no fear, more thunderstorms are near, but not necessarily today, but later on. So we're continuing to watch that. Now, this complex will drop south. River Valley is quiet, but still some warm temperatures. So this complex will probably hold together and remain all the way through the area and drop down to the south. By the way, if you're wondering about cooler weather, stick around. We will answer that in this Weather Live, but we'll go on as long as this storm stays severe, and then we'll drop off. But there's a look at that severe thunderstorm warning. It's including southwestern Benton County and northwestern Washington County, and a lot of lightning with this as well. So some really heavy rain. Did you take Lincoln and point it north?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so Blaze is adjusting some things, and we'll take a look here at what we've got with a severe thunderstorm warning. And let's take a look at that Lincoln camera. Absolute downpour. So that's looking north. Let's keep it west. Okay, here we go. East of Siloam, trees down, animal shelters blown away, winds came out of the east. Man, we got a lot of reports. On NWS chat, I want you to type these up as we're going through this, okay? All right. So let's see. Feeling great in Gravette. That was at 7:25. We haven't done a live in a long time. It has been a long time since we've done a live, but that's because there really hasn't been anything to talk about. As people said, 30 days of no rain, burn bans that are out there. All right, here's what you need to be typing up here, just to let them know. Okay, damage off of Janet Street in Springdale.
Damage off Janet.
Janet. Yep.
Okay.
Power lines down, limbs and fences down. Okay, you could hit enter on that.
Okay.
Yeah, we doing TV cut-ins?
What do we have? What time the hits are? If we have national break times, I will.
I will find out.
See, I had the pop-up storms tie on this. Fence was blown down, Fayetteville near Washington Regional.
Okay.
Okay. I believe that, but it wasn't a tornado. It was microburst. So you had parts of the wind that were coming in from one direction, and then the other, you might have been right underneath it where it collapsed. I'll show you what that is here in just a bit. Take a look at another camera here. Fayetteville's Mount Sequoia. Man, there's the rain. It's kind of lightening up a little bit. You're starting to see the lights. Look at the street lights are on. That's how heavy the rain is. Okay, trees down near Drake Street in Fayetteville.
Okay. trees down near Jake.
Okay, we already know about Gentry because I have that, and that's in the LSR.
What'd you
But
say?
Gentry was hit with a microburst, trees down everywhere, fire department everywhere, some power out.
Trees down near.
But we already have that. They already put the LSR for Gentry, remember? Okay. Oh, look at this. Baja Blaze. Okay, here's one. Trees down, fences down. And that's in P Ridge.
Okay.
Okay, they had penny to quarter size hail with strong winds and high full. It absolutely poured in Siloam. Yeah. 0 rain on the north side of Siloam. That's what I was saying. Yeah. Pretty gusty wake low winds. How about that? Got some wake lows that are happening here. Yeah, Siloam Springs is clear for the warning. Yes, the storm is south of you.
You did say that was Janet Street earlier, right?
Janet, yeah.
So damage off Janet Street, power lines and fences down.
Yep.
Washington Regional. Fence was.
Yeah, Gentry was hit pretty hard with that microburst. We'll take a look at that here in just a second. Okay, SWEPCO power out. Okay, here's Joey Nelson. SWEPCO power out, limbs down everywhere on North Autumn Court. Wind must have been between 50 to 60 miles per hour. Must have been directly under a microburst.
North Autumn Court.
Definitely seemed like a microburst. Yep.
Power lines down, you said?
Limbs down, too. The Bella Vista vortex kept us from the rain. No tornado risk, like we mentioned. No tornado risk. A game got canceled, and so that makes sense. Tornado risk. No, there's no tornado risk.
Looking at times for the cutters.
Okay, good. And we might do one then. All right, so going back to Mega Doppler, and then we're going to take a look detailed at these storms on why they produce the microburst. So I think these storms are on a weakening trend looking at it. You know, they're going to gust out.
So.
They're going to produce some heavy rain. But as far as the microburst potential, that's starting to wind down as the storms are using up all the instability. Let's go ahead and we'll loop that on Mega Doppler, and it'll be dropping south. There you get to see the loop as those storms continue to move through the Lowell, Springdale, Johnson, and Fayetteville area. So, yeah, a lot of rain coming down, but it does look like that severe is starting to wind down. And then after this comes through, that's going to be it for the rest of the night. But, hey, we got some much-needed, beneficial, wonderful rain now. That's something that we've needed in a major way. So that's nice to see. Mount Sequoia Weatherbug Network camera still showing some heavy rain. Let's take a look at some other cameras here. Here's Huntsville. Look at that. Beautiful view. Nice soaker. Oh, yeah, it's really coming down now in Fayetteville. All right, so let's go back to weather. I want to do something real quick, Blaze.
Okay.
I'm going to step over here and I'm going to grab Mega Doppler. So here's a look at Gentry. And this is where the storm went right over Gentry. All right, take a look at this.
Let me show Mega Doppler.
Yeah, just a sec. Let me get it fired up here. Oh yeah. There we go. All right. So we're going to look at this storm in 3 dimensions. All right. So this is how this works. Camera's going to move over here, and you're going to see this storm. This is the one right here that was located in the Gentry area, because there was additional storms that popped up. You can see Bentonville, you can see Fayetteville, but we're looking at this cell that was near Gentry. And as this drops its core, see, this is where it really increased in intensity, and then watch it collapse right there. Didn't take long. It drops almost 10,000 feet in 5 minutes. And then as that storm collapses, it produces those damaging winds. So that storm absolutely collapsed. And then you can also see the overshooting top right there. Pretty cool stuff. As we take a look back at this again, look at the collapsing core. So remember, as that happens, you get a collapsing core of a thunderstorm, and that's essentially what you're seeing. A little bit of small hail that's possible with that. Now, currently, I don't think we're going to be doing an update. No, the storm's starting the weekend, and it's not going to remain
It would
severe.
only be on Fox in
Yeah.
3 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, all those reports have been sent off to the NWS,
That's right.
Thank you.
so they are aware.
And so, cool,
these are-
awesome.
these are good ones, so I think they will, but
All right, so let's go back to, now that you got to see that three-dimensional look, I want to bring up what it looks like with a microburst and how those develop. And then we're going to show you a real-life example as we take a look at that storm from time lapse, because we got that time lapse from Mount Sequoia, so that'll be cool. But let me show you a downburst here. Okay, so this is what a microburst is. So a microburst explainer. You've got a thunderstorm that develops. Notice how the base is really high up off the ground. So because this base is so high up off the ground, as we're going to show you this graphic. So you've got this thunderstorm with a base that's really high up off the ground. There's dry air that's entrained into the updraft. And as the thunderstorm starts to collapse, as it collapses, that rain accelerates because it starts to cool. So watch what happens here. As a thunderstorm starts to develop and collapse, the cool air falls and accelerates, because as it's falling, it's evaporating. And as it's evaporating, it's cooling. And as it's cooling, guess what? It's getting heavier. So as it gets heavier, it's going to accelerate. And when it hits the ground, the air is forced in all directions. And sometimes microbursts can produce up to 100 miles per hour winds over a small area, up to 2 miles. So that is essentially what a microburst is. So now you get to see what it looks like with a graphic. So that evaporative cooling, you got the rain that's coming down, and there's a look at a microburst. Now, here's why it's so dangerous for an aircraft, because as a thunderstorm is producing a microburst, the aircraft, as it moves in, starts encountering a headwind, or essentially a wind coming from the front of the plane. Well, guess what? This causes a tremendous amount of lift. So as the airplane experiences that lift, the pilot will start to slow down. As they slow down, the aircraft gets into the center of the microburst, which is pushing the plane straight down. And then as you get a tailwind, that means you don't get as much lift. You'll have to accelerate, but that wind is pushing the plane down into the ground. And so that's why microbursts can be so deadly to aviation. So now that you got to see what that looks like and how that develops, essentially, we're going to take a look at this, and we're going to look at this on Weather 3. So pretty cool graphic, but that kind of shows you what's going on. So let's take a look again at Mega Doppler, and then I'm going to show you a time lapse of that storm. We got several time lapses, by the way. So Blaze, take us on a little bit of a radar tour on that, and I'll control Weather 3.
Okay, so we continue to see heavy rain around the Fayetteville area. Thunderstorms around Prairie Grove, up towards Highville, Cave Springs. It does look like Decatur is dry now, as well as Bella Vista, Pea Ridge, Garfield. Most of the thunderstorm activity is between Fayetteville, Springdale, up towards Rogers, War Eagle, and over towards Elkins. So West Fork, you're fixing to see some thunderstorms pretty soon. Brentwood, Winslow as well. Moving a little bit over towards the east, Huntsville, I think you're fixing to see some very heavy rain heading your direction. Green Forest, you're experiencing some moderate rain. Harrison's also experiencing some moderate rain right now. But the strongest part of this thunderstorm, like I said, is between Fayetteville, Prairie Grove, Lincoln, up towards Highville, and then Cave Springs over towards Rogers and War Eagle.
See, it's funny. A lot of people are like, we're not getting any rain. Now, Bella Vista, I know it hasn't rained over you. I got that, right, Zach? We're watching that. No rain in Bella Vista, but well,
No,
on the
it's
east side of Bella Vista, they got some rain. But
pretty wide area, heavy rain now.
yeah, it
kinda,
is.
Kind of crazy how it just started as little pop-ups, and now we're seeing so much.
And then it just congealed. But there's a reason for that. The upper level support came
yeah,
in.
we got it.
You can see the upper level support. This is why we've had better rain chances today than any other day. And in fact, you might remember last week we were talking about rain chances on Tuesday. And then the models were like not really showing it, but I was like, meteorologically, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense when
Yeah,
when
we saw
that
that high
ridge was
shifting
shifting
westward.
west, and we're on the northeast side of the high,
Yeah.
and we get, guess what? Northwest flow.
Yep, you got to know with that.
Got to know it's
There'll be-
northwest flow.
There'll be some storms.
Now you got to know how cool these time lapses are with our WeatherBug network cameras, and we've got a bunch of them. So I'm going to show you these as we're going to look at. Let's see if I got it here. Oh, I don't know. Hold on just a second. Guess I don't have that loaded. Here we go. Watch this. So this is a real life example. Make sure that's on for weather 2. We've got it loaded. So I'm going to show you this here. This is a Mount Sequoia. Now watch on the right-hand side of the screen. You're going to see what's called the rain foot. And the rain foot is when it starts spreading out and increasing in intensity. So let's go back up and play that again, Zach. Go back up and play that again here. All right. Yeah. All right, so we're backing it up again. Now watch on the right-hand side of the screen. I'm going to point out where the rain foot is. So here it is. You can see we're playing it, and you're going to see this rain that comes down and spreads out. Now when it races out ahead of it like that, that's called a rain foot. And on the leading edge of that, that's where you have the strongest winds. And that's a sign of a microburst with the collapsing thunderstorm. So we've had a few of them. They're a little more difficult to detect on radar. We'll watch this here. You can see no rotation associated with this, and then watch that heavy rain come in. Now we got another time lapse showing the convection that popped up today, and I want to show you that. So we'll take a look here at some other cameras. We got a bunch of them that we did have recorded. So we'll take a look at this, and we'll go back to the Graduate Hotel. And I want to go to, not the Graduate, but I want to go to Huntsville. This is cool. We're going to go to Huntsville. And Huntsville, watch the convection pop up. So this was the heating of the day. And this was the very first thunderstorm. And notice how it's not really vertically developed enough. You can see some thunderstorm activity that's popping up. You can see the way that, you got an updraft right here, but watch it kind of collapse. The amble becomes an orphan amble. Additional storms are popping up, but just nothing really super major or intense. Now, as daytime heating continues to kick in, more clouds start bubbling up. Here comes our next round of convection. Wow, that is so cool to watch, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is awesome. I love that.
You can see how high the bases are of these storms.
Yeah, the bases of the storms are extremely high, which shows you that microburst potential is there. But still, the upper level support is not here yet, meaning the upper level winds and the energy. But look at that kind of rising up, and then it collapses, and then it rises up, and then it collapses again. So we're still getting it, but then it kind of falls. Now there's where it starts taking off. Look at that. And there's these little pockets of instability. Look at that one.
Wow.
That rose up quick, but nothing like a supercell thunderstorm. Supercell thunderstorms go nuts. This severe thunderstorm warning is going to expire here real soon, by the way. And then look, it becomes an orphan amble again. And then you got additional convection, but now look at how high the bases are. So the bases are getting higher over time because the temperature and the dew point spreads apart as it gets hotter. And then that increases the microburst potential. Pretty cool. And then we go back here. We'll look at another one. We've got the Graduate Hotel. Let's go to that. See what we got on that one. And so here's a look at, again, a little bit of convection that pops up. Nothing super major. but daytime heating's starting to kick in, and then you can see those clouds and storms billowing up. And I actually stopped the time lapse right there. So we got some good time lapses, but that's pretty cool stuff. Any good comments at all here?
Yeah, people are just saying how much they enjoy watching convection.
Yeah.
And
It's fun to watch. It really is.
Yeah, it really
it's
is.
super
Yeah.
cool.
We have amazing cameras to watch that happen.
Love recording that. So
And we're also still
yeah.
getting comments about, is it a tornado
Yeah.
or microburst?
No.
Microburst.
It's definitely a microburst. The conditions are there. All that stuff is there. So you got the thunderstorm that has the high base. We'll go back to it here. We'll show you again real fast. Can't wait till we get that new monitor so we don't have to switch back and forth.
Yeah, that'll be a lot easier.
That's going to be so nice. Now here's an example of a microburst. This is back in 2012. You'll see it right here off in the distance. Look at that collapse right there.
Wow.
And then you can see how much rain there is. And there's that rain foot again. Here's another microburst. Oh, that didn't work because I guess that's gone. But back to this one. This is the microburst explainer. So again, thunderstorm has a really high base. The updraft rises up. Now there's a thing called dry microbursts and wet microbursts. We had what are called wet microbursts today, as the thunderstorm just collapses, and that updraft goes from 50,000 to 40,000 feet in 5 minutes. It's 10,000 foot drop. That air's got to go somewhere, and so it goes down, and then that's when it collapses and spreads out. So, and that's why with the trees down, there probably will be a divergent damage pattern to the trees when you're looking at it, and where they move away from all different directions, that's where the center of the microburst is. And I do believe that was right over the Gentry area, essentially. We'll go back and I'll show you that radar, and then we'll take a look at the current radar. So severe thunderstorm warning continues another 8 minutes. That's probably going to expire here pretty soon. I'm going to zoom out here a little bit more, and you can see additional storms developing. But here's what I want to do. I want to show you the last 3 hours. We're going to go back in time, and we're going to see all these storms kind of pop up. So what were the ones that we were looking at? We'll go back 6 hours here. Absolutely nothing popping up. But then there's that little cell that developed near Huntsville that we were watching on the WeatherBug camera. And you can see how it doesn't look super impressive. And then there's going to be another one that develops. There it is right there in Berryville. And then additional storms continued to develop. And then notice how they kind of trended farther west. Notice how they're all moving in one direction too. So that tells you that upper level support is here now. And then as they collapsed, they produced those strong gusty winds. Here's P Ridge. P Ridge, this cell rapidly developed and then collapsed. So that was some pretty gusty winds right there. We'll have to look at that and see if that probably just some heavy wind. That probably was a microburst, but this one really did it right here in Gentry, right around 6:30 in the afternoon or in the early evening. And then you can't tell, honestly, when you're looking at it from live Doppler radar. You've got to look at the echo tops. You got to look at what's called marks, which are mid-altitude radial convergence signatures. Everybody knows what those are, right? So those are all things that you got to look at for wind damage. Now, I don't know if this radar will go back far enough. Let's see if it does here. The velocity image. So let's see. Now remember, this is not near the ground, unfortunately. So it's not the best for seeing. Yeah, see that it just doesn't look very good. A little bit there, you can see a little bit. So what you're seeing right here, since it's on the radial, here's the radial right here for the radar. You can see the way that the radar is sweeping essentially, because that's the line for the radar. So you've got essentially winds that are going towards the radar and winds that are going away from the radar. And you can see that right in this area, there's an area of convergence. So this is called a mid-altitude. It's not the greatest signature, but it does show up. It's called mid-altitude radial convergence, and that's a mark. And that's exactly where that's happening. And so that tells you with the drawing that you saw, that thunderstorm is collapsing. And essentially that's where that wind damage occurred near Gentry. Now, if we look at the base velocity, I don't even know if, let's see here. Velocity. Let's see if this shows up. It's way better on GR, on Mega Doppler. But anyway, speaking of Mega Doppler, let's go back to it. Anything you want to add, Zach? Take away, subtract, besides your presence from our weather team here in a couple of weeks?
We are seeing some flooding issues too with all this heavy rain. It's Springdale area has been raining pretty heavily for a while now.
Yeah.
Fayetteville too. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some flash flood issues here. But I do think the rain is coming to an end. I think after 10, we should be good. And then tomorrow looks pretty good. Cooler day. We had that cold front coming in, and I'm looking forward to that because we hit 100 for the second day in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's big. So yesterday was the highest day of the year so far. Today we tied it. So 2 scorchers of a day.
It makes sense. You have that compressional warming right before the front moves in. Yeah. That's when you get the warmest temperatures.
Yeah, and it was 100 degrees at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, it was hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. The audio is going to fade away when we move away from computers. We're still not done with our weather lab. We're still in the process of, it's because we got to go. Unfortunately, our streaming computer is over on the far right side. It's going to be closer to the radar when we get a different monitor. And the monitors are on back order. So everything is a little bit slow. That's why the audio is fading, if you're wondering. So you got a pretty cool video of a shelf cloud. Oh, nice. Glad to see the Brodos with the Hodo back in action. Been way too long from Turd Ferguson. Hey, here's a question for you, Blaze. This is directed right at you. Marshall. Did Marshall have a microburst, Blaze?
I will check on that. That's my dad.
Is it? Rocky Rapid Fire Thomas?
Yep.
Just all like right. The song that they have? What is it? Fire?
Give me that fire.
Give me that fire. That's right. Give me that fire. I love that song, man. A great Christian gospel song. Loved it. So warning is gone. The warning's history, as we mentioned, 8 o'clock. We knew that warning would be gone. Now we're just experiencing some nice rain. So before we end this live stream, I promised that we would be talking about cooler weather. So I do want to do that. And by the way, Braden, no, we've never seen a UFO on the live stream or on those cameras. Zach thought he did, but it was a bug.
It was a close call.
It was a close call. He thought he did. Watching a couple columns going up to the west. Got some turkey towers. All right, so let's go to the Weather 2 source and let's take a look at some stuff here. So first of all, let's give you the goods here. Who's ready for some cooler weather? I know Zach is. I know Blaze is. I know I got to load up a different show, but that's all right. I'll be able to do this here.
I'm tired of putting 100
You
degree
just take weather 1.
Hey, oh, yeah. Just take weather 1. All right.
Stand by. Look at that.
Ladies and gentlemen, look at this. So 6 to 10 day outlook. That is some cooler than normal conditions. And those colors have been getting more and more purple over time. So that means the temperatures are most likely going to be below normal. Now, that doesn't tell you how cold, but typically that means that if you're going to have a greater potential of being cooler than normal, then I think upper 70s.
Yeah, so that is
not out of the question.
That's next week, but even the week after, as we go into September.
Yeah.
So a couple of weeks here where we are expecting cooler than normal weather.
So why is this? Well, it's a jet stream that's going to change. It's a pattern that's going to change. Here's a look at what we've had for the last 20 weeks, it seems like. I mean, it's been a long time. Springdale is awful and flooded. No, it's not funny. Definitely not. It's there's some heavy rain that's coming down. We'll look at the radar real fast. We knew this would be some extremely heavy rain coming down, which is why they canceled the game Here's a look at, look at that. Arkansas Children's North. Whoa, that
hit
was
the
an
water tower.
amazing lightning strike.
Look at that water tower.
Yeah. Man, we got that on the live stream too.
That's cool.
I just got on that. That was a
Wow.
big old bolt. That looked like a positive CG. Let's see. Here if we can hear that rumble. It's going to be over 2 miles away, so it'll be 10 seconds. Remember that one that we heard at about 2 in the morning? There was a 257 or 200 over 200 kiloamps. It was a big 249, I think it was. Not hearing the rumble. Thought we'd be able to hear that one. Well, it's a little farther away, so it will be a long time to hear
I think
it.
that might have been it. Yeah.
No, that's a truck.
Yeah. But if you were there, you would have heard that. That's for sure. It's over 10 miles away, so it'd be 50 seconds. Yeah, you might not hear it. But let's go ahead and we'll take a look at that on the radar. Yeah, it's going to be nice, so we don't have to flip back and forth. Now that lightning bolt, that was Springdale, right?
Yep.
That we were looking at?
Arkansas Children's.
Yeah. All right, so let's look at lightning positive and negative. And that looks like it right there, isn't it? Yep. That was the strike. Because that just happened. Because we're looking straight east. So let's see here. All right. Let's take a look at what that was here. Positive? Yep. 751. No, that wasn't it. 8 o'clock. There it
That might have
is.
been it.
That's it. 13. Still a positive, obviously.
Wow.
Oh, this might have been it right here. No. Nope, not 733. I think it was this one right here, that 8 o'clock. That looks about right because Harvest Ballpark is right there. And we're looking almost due west, or due east, I mean. Right over, we're looking due east from Arkansas Children's. So, yeah. All right, back to the radar. Let's take a look at how much rain fell. That ought to be interesting to see. This is going to take a little while to load. Hey, that loaded pretty
That's
fast.
good.
So let's see how much rain fell. Quite a bit, actually. Let's look at the precip totals.
It's past 24 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll drop that down here.
Yeah, so it could include yesterday.
Let's go to the last 6 hours, and then we'll go here and we'll look at the last 6 hours. So here's six. There's 6
Same
hours.
thing.
Yeah. So it was basically all that rain today. Whoa, man, Springdale's been getting some.
Well, good thing for Springdale, the rain is tapering off.
I know I have a precipitation query. Here it is, right here. Man, that's got to be in a different spot. 2.1, 2.4. There's 2.0 in Springdale. Yeah, so the rain's about to taper off. So if there's flooding that's bad right now, it's going to be winding down. Oh. There you go. Take a look at that. We were just loading that up and getting that ready. So here's the deal. We are in the process of still configuring our weather lab, and we have to use the streaming computer and Weather 2 on the same computer. So we have to minimize remote access into it. Then we can't see what's on there. We're not going to be making that mistake anymore once we get that other monitor. It's going to be huge. It's going to be really, really helpful. See, right now, I minimized it. I can't see the comments, but 2.4 inches, that's a pretty decent amount right there. Radar estimates over 2 inches. Some good old rain coming down. All right, guys. Well, I think that about wraps it up because those temperatures are going to be dropping. And in fact, just to show you, let's take a look here at those temperatures and what we're expecting. So we'll take a look at this ICAST data here. Look at that temperature drop. So there is your forecast.
Oh,
77,
yeah,
baby.
Wow.
That is not a mistake.
Yeah. And 87 Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. We got some widespread rain coming our way. Temperatures, normal highs now, dropping below 90. So we're about to get some cooler weather. And honestly, 2 times hitting 100, it's not terrible for Fayetteville. In fact, the average is about less than 1, to be honest with you. So, yeah. North of Sonora was the positive strike. Okay. Cool. I'll have to check that out. Maybe it didn't show up after a while. Well, I'm not going to go back to it, though. Okay, guys. Well, that wraps it up here as we've got that cooler weather that's coming, and we'll talk more about that on the newscast tonight. Blaze, anything to add at all?
No?
You got Fox 24 News at 9 coming up. Boy, you got a lot to talk about, don't you?
There is a lot.
Yeah.
But it's good news, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep, absolutely. All right, guys. Well, that wraps it up. Just live. Anything? Euler? Anyone? You see Ferris Bueller's Day Off,
Oh, yeah.
haven't you? Okay. But you haven't. I could tell.
Oh,
But it sounds funny.
It's funny.
I love
It's
the
funny,
end
yeah.
where it's like, it's over.
Yeah, he's like, it's gone.
What are you
It's
gonna say
over. Yeah. Go
there?
home. We'll see ya. All right. Bye, guys. Thanks for watching. God bless.